There are things about your childhood that you never truly understood. Moments that made you feel different, as if you were walking a path no one else could see. You didn't choose this path. It was chosen for you. And if you experienced these signs in your childhood, listen carefully, because this is not a coincidence. It never was. 1. You always felt like an outsider. Did you ever wonder why you never truly fit in? Why no matter how hard you tried, you always felt different? It wasn't just about being shy or quiet, it was something much deeper. While others were lost in games, chasing trends, and filling their time with meaningless distractions, your mind was elsewhere, thinking, searching, questioning. You saw things differently. You felt emotions that others ignored. The laughter and conversations around you often felt hollow, as if people were content living on the surface, while something inside you longed for depth, for meaning. There were moments when you sat in a crowded room, surrounded by people, yet felt completely alone. As if you were speaking a language no one else could understand. As if your soul existed on a different frequency, and no matter how hard you tried to blend in, to laugh at the same jokes, to follow the same trends, to do what was normal, something inside you whispered, "You don't belong here." That whisper wasn't loneliness. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. A sign that your soul was created for something higher, something beyond the ordinary. When Allah chooses someone, He doesn't let them get lost in the crowd. He sets them apart. He places a restlessness inside them, a calling that keeps them from settling for a life of ignorance and heedlessness. Maybe at the time it felt like a burden. You wished you could be like everyone else, carefree, oblivious, unbothered. But deep down you knew you were never meant to be like them, because those whom Allah calls, He prepares them first. And preparation always begins with being set apart. 2. Hardships were your early companion. Some people go through life with ease. Everything comes to them effortlessly. Their childhood is filled with laughter. Their path is smooth, and their struggles are minimal. But for you, life tested you early. Maybe you lost someone you loved when you were too young to understand what loss truly meant. Maybe you grew up in a home where love felt distant, where you longed for warmth but were met with silence. Maybe you faced rejection from the very people you trusted the most, friends who abandoned you, family who never truly understood you. Maybe loneliness became your closest companion, sitting in a crowded room but feeling like you were all alone. Watching others form deep connections while you wondered if anyone would ever truly see you. Or maybe your tests were even deeper. Perhaps you battled illness, financial struggles, or emotional wounds that no one knew about. Maybe you spent nights staring at the ceiling, whispering, "Why me?" through silent tears. Maybe you looked at others who had an easier life and wondered, "Why does everything have to be so hard for me?" But hear this. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "When Allah loves a person, He tests them." Your struggles were never a punishment. They were a sign that Allah was preparing you for something greater, a sign that He saw strength in you that even you didn't know you had. Because diamonds are not formed without pressure, swords are not sharpened without friction, and the strongest souls, they are forged through fire. Every hardship you endured was shaping you into the person you were meant to become. Every tear you shed was washing away your weaknesses. Every wound you carried was making your heart softer, more compassionate, more attuned to the pain of others. Allah was never breaking you. He was making you unbreakable. And now, as you look back, you might finally understand. It was never about the pain. It was about the preparation, because those who are destined for something greater are never given an easy life. 3. You had a connection with the unseen. Even as a child, You sensed things others didn't. There were moments when you felt something powerful around you, something unseen, yet undeniably real. Maybe you had dreams that felt more like visions, so vivid, so intense, that they stayed with you long after you woke up. Maybe you experienced déjà vu, moments where you felt like you had been somewhere before, even though you knew it was impossible. Or maybe, without anyone telling you, you felt drawn to places of peace, sitting quietly under the sky, feeling something greater than yourself. Maybe you would hear the Quran, and even if you didn't fully understand the words, your heart recognized their weight. That wasn't just random. That wasn't just imagination. That was Allah calling your heart before your mind could even comprehend it. Some people spend their entire lives searching for this connection, questioning, doubting, wondering. But you had it before you even knew what it was, and that's not normal. That's divine guidance. 4. You questioned everything. Most children accept the world as it is. If they are told something, they believe it. If they see others doing something, they follow. But you were different. You always asked, why? Why do people lie when the truth is so simple? Why do the good suffer while the wicked prosper? Why do some turn away from Allah even when they know He is real? It wasn't just curiosity, it was a restlessness in your soul. A feeling that there was more to life than what was visible, that things were not always as they seemed. Some found your questions annoying, some told you to stop overthinking, but you couldn't, because your heart refused to settle for surface-level answers. You weren't looking for what was convenient, you were searching for truth. And that search? That's rare. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't just accept what people worshipped. He looked at the stars, the moon and the sun, not out of doubt, but out of deep reflection. He searched for the reality beyond illusions, and because of that search, Allah guided him. And maybe that's exactly what Allah is doing with you. Because those who ask why with sincerity, they are the ones who are meant to find the truth. 5. You always felt that you were meant for something greater. There were moments in your life, quiet moments, when you felt something stir inside you, a feeling you couldn't quite explain. A voice, not loud, but persistent, whispering, "This isn't it. You are meant for more." You saw people around you living their lives, chasing after temporary pleasures, getting lost in distractions, and yet something inside you refused to settle. It wasn't about arrogance, it was a knowing. A deep, unshakable feeling that your life was not meant to be wasted on the ordinary. And that feeling? It wasn't your imagination. It was a reminder, a sign that your soul was created for something beyond this world. That you were chosen for a path that very few dare to walk. A path of meaning, a path of purpose, a path that requires sacrifice, discipline, and faith. But here's the thing, not everyone answers this call. Some ignore it. They drown it out with distractions, convincing themselves that they are just like everyone else. That life is about comfort, about following the crowd, about fitting in. But you feel it even now, don't you? That restlessness, that hunger for something more, that unseen force pulling you toward a greater destiny. And the truth is, Allah does not put this feeling in just anyone. This is not an accident. It never was. Pause for impact, then in a powerful emotional tone. If these signs resonate with you, then listen carefully. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to rise, to walk a path that few have the strength to walk, the path of those Allah chooses. But being chosen is not just an honor, it's a responsibility. Because knowing you are meant for something greater is only the beginning. What will you do with it? Will you step into the role you were created for? Will you embrace the journey, no matter how difficult? Or will you ignore the call, letting the noise of the world drown out your purpose? Because the chosen ones, are never chosen without reason. So now you know. You were never ordinary. Your struggles, your questions, your experiences, they were all signs. Signs that Allah was preparing you for something greater. But being chosen is not about feeling special. It's about responsibility. You have been given a heart that sees what others ignore. You have been given a soul that seeks truth when others are lost in illusions. So the real question is, what will you do with it? Will you continue to walk the path Allah has chosen for you? Or will you turn away pretending this was all just a coincidence?